If you're wanting to level up your sponsorship game for the 2025 season, then it's incredibly important that you figure out what your specific needs are for the 2025 season, what your specific ask is, and what it is that you have to offer sponsors. And this is the most opportune time in order to get all of this together and start approaching potential brand partnerships. The reason being is because we are coming up on fourth quarter. That's October, November, and December. Most businesses are actually estimating at this point now how much revenue they're going to have coming in next year, and they are allocating that revenue to different line items within their budget, including marketing. So if you're a race team, or you are a driver, or you are a car owner, and you want to make sure that you can get some of that marketing money within a business's budget, then it's really important that you follow these steps so that you have the best chance possible in order to get some of that money. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Joyner, and I'm an attorney. I also work with multiple motorsports brands, including the Hunt the Front brand. So in today's episode, I'm really going to be focusing on sponsorships and focusing on that key revenue stream to make sure that you're able to fund your race team. But one of the first things that's really important for you to understand is I am talking about legitimate brand deals. I'm not talking about sponsorship money that you're going to get from your BFF or from your mom or your mom's BFF. I'm talking about actually approaching legitimate established businesses and asking them for money or products in exchange for something. And really what we're looking at is brand or marketing. And before these businesses start allocating their marketing budget to you, they want to be very clear that you are trustworthy, that you have a game plan in place, and that they're going to be able to get a return in their investment. So the first place that I want you to start before you approach any potential partners at all is to get just that. Get a strategy and a plan in place for the 2025 season. The first thing is really making sure that you are very, very clear on what it is that your needs are going to be. And this is going to vary widely depending on whether or not you just want to race locally, or if you're going to race nationally, or if you decided that next year is the year for me to race with a regional dirt track series like the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series. All of these plans, or a combination of them, is going to require a different kind of budget. And it's very important to make sure that what your budget is that you're allocating for yourself and you're estimating, that budget is actually congruent with what your plans are. Don't think for a second that you're going to be able to race at a national level with a $100,000 budget. It's just not going to happen. So you need to be very realistic that if that is what your plan is, and that's what your goal is, and that's what you want to do, how much money is that going to cost, and what is that going to take from you, and what additional assets are you actually going to need? Are you going to need to hire more crew members? Will you need a crew chief? Will you need a new toter home? Are you going to have to refresh your engine? These are all things that when you sit down and actually figure out what your game plan is for the 2025 season, it's going to give you a very clear picture as to what it is that your specific needs are for 2025. And this is important. This is not something that you're just doing because it's good to do. This is going to lead into the other two steps. Once you are very clear on what it is that your needs are, and you're very clear on what your plan is and what you're wanting to do with your race team next year, then you need to figure out what exactly it is that you have to offer a potential brand partner. Again, remember, they're looking at partners that are going to be able to influence other people in order to purchase their products or purchase their services. They want to make sure that if they are investing any sort of marketing money into you, that there is going to be a return on that investment. So knowing what it is that you have to offer and being very, very clear with that. This is where your plan comes into place. If you know you're going to be racing at a national level and you know that all of the events are going to be televised, say that. If you know that you're going to be racing, let's say with the Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series, and everything is on Hunt the Front TV, you have that ability to tell your potential brand partners that there is a wider audience than just the local racetracks there. But don't get discouraged if you're only going to be racing locally. that's fine too, because local racetracks have very loyal crowds that come every single weekend. And so just learn what that demographic is so that you can establish to your potential brand partner what it is you have to offer. You have a local audience that you're able to race in front of and communicate in front of every single weekend and tell them how amazing their product is. Or you have a national audience. Do you have a social media following? Do you have a fan club? You're able to really dial down not just the space on the car. That's important. But what's more important is the way that you're able to effectively communicate to others how great your potential brand partner is. I don't want you to get discouraged if you have a small social media following or if you have a small a fan club, because really you can leverage the fact on whether or not how engaged is your social media following. When you put a new shirt out, does it sell out within 24 hours? Are these people that are constantly commenting on your post, are they following you to different racetracks in order to see you race at those events? It's not really necessary for you to have hundreds of thousands of followers. You just need to have a very engaged audience that that, hey, I'm confident that if I tell them that your product is amazing, that they're going to purchase it. So again, just being very clear what it is that you have to offer a potential partner, and you can figure out what it is you have to offer them, again, based off that first step, what it is that you're planning on doing next year. Knowing what you have to offer and identifying who your audience is based off of what your plan is for the 2025 season is going to make it really easy for you to then identify who potential brand partners are for you that's going to be aligned with what your audience is and what you have to offer. If you don't have a wide audience, then it doesn't necessarily make sense right now to approach large corporate sponsors. But if you know that you have a very loyal and engaged local audience, then definitely go start reaching out to every single one of the businesses that are there around the track or within your community, because you're able to, again, effectively communicate to them and advocate for yourself that you will be able to influence others in order to show an additional return on an investment for them is going to be worth their while, because this is what you have to offer them. So once you've identified who great brand partners are going to be for you, that's aligned with what your plan is, who your audience is, and what you have to offer, then at that point, it's important to go up to them with a specific ask. Now, you can do this in like a tiered format, if you sponsor at the gold level, the silver level, or the bronze level, but either way, it's a specific ask there. It's a lot easier when you go up to a person, let alone a business, and you say, hey, I'd like to get a brand partnership. This is what I have to offer. Can you give me whatever you have or whatever you feel comfortable with? That gives them a very easy out, gives them a very easy opportunity to say no. If you go up to a potential brand partner and you say, hey, I want to race 100 races this season, and these are the states I'm going to be racing at, and they're going to be televised on these channels, and it costs me approximately $3,500 each night in order to get my car out on the track. And you say, this is how much I need in tires, this is how much I need in diesel, and you really break it down and you give a very specific ask, and then you say, are you willing to do a $10,000 sponsorship to get me to the first however many, 3 races? I know my math didn't just work out there, but just bear with me for a second, okay? Really, my point here is you want to make sure that it's a very specific ask, because that gives them that window to either say, no, I can't do that, but I can do this. It's a lot easier than just going up and saying, hey, can you do something? And they can just say, no, or we don't have in our budget, or we just don't see that it's our worthwhile this season. The other piece to this is when you're approaching a potential brand partner, you start out first what it is that you have to offer them Then you follow through with what your plan is and what your needs would be in order to actually offer them what it is you're offering them. And then at that point, providing them with whatever your specific ask is so that they can either come back and say yes, come back and say no, or come back and give you a different number or a different offer at that point. It's going to be really important in the beginning to be okay with getting no's, because a lot of times no's might actually be not right nows. And right now, what you're doing is you're establishing that connection and you're making sure that you're establishing that relationship with them to potentially move forward in the future, to have a brand deal with them in the future. These things don't just happen overnight. So again, to recap, it's really important that when you are going forward with getting any sort of brand deals, that you are actually first looking at being very clear on what your plan is and therefore what your needs are going to be. That you're very clear on what it is that you have to offer a potential brand partner, who that audience is, and making sure that it's aligned with whatever it is that the partner is going to want. And then also being very clear and specific in what you're asked to your partner. If you found this information was helpful, it's so helpful to us. If you can leave a comment, leave your questions below. I read every comment as it comes in. I don't always respond to every one of them, but I try to do that. But if you did find this helpful, it really helps us out if you comment, if you engage, if you give it a thumbs up. But if you do have any questions, that helps me figure out what kind of videos to make next. Until next time, thank you.